Hello all, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So thank you for joining in today's session, and to just give a brief about this platform. So basically this is two different type of platforms which has come together to host this meeting. Okay, so firstly it is Naughtygrad. So Naughtygrad is basically an e-organization which has been functioning for almost more than 18 months to educate in the field of nutrition, food science and research. So you can, Google about Nerdygrad as well, and you can find more about us. And you can also connect with us on various social media platforms to see what type of works we do and how we improve knowledge of the research as well as the nutrition fraternity. Moving into Nattu Kaka, so this is basically nuts and dry fruits company, okay, based out of Bangalore. So they have quality nuts and dry fruits which they sell, and this is the platform for which we are an education partner, and we are hosting this webinar on almonds. So we have three different esteemed speakers who have joined this session with us, and This is basically going to be like a short 15-20 minutes of a session with each of the speaker, and post that we will address all the questions as per the participants' doubts, whatever is arising after their session. So this is like a panel discussion which will be held, and I hope all of you will make the best use of this opportunity, because these are very extensive topics which is put together in a short form, and we're going to have it as a small webinar. And so you can probably gain more knowledge about each and every nut as such. Today we'll be starting with almonds. This is a webinar series. So once in 2 weeks, we'll be having a webinar about each nut and dry fruit. And we'll also be having so many other webinars related to nutrition, food science and processing coming up soon. So you can stay tuned for all of that to our platform. So I will start off with the introduction of our first speaker, Ms. Zahista Ghafoor. So welcome, ma'am, to the session. And to give a brief introduction about her, she is currently working as a diabetes prevention practitioner in Stripe Tribe, which is in UK. And she's a food ambassador for the Food Foundation UK as well. Her professional qualifications include registered associate nutritionist, certified by the UK government, and she's a member of Royal Society for Public Health. She's a certified diabetes educator, NCSCT certified stop smoking practitioner as well. So her qualifications, educational qualifications include an MSc in Global Public Health Nutrition from the University of Westminster, London, UK. And she's also completed her bachelor's in Avinash Lingam in food science. She's a gold medalist as well in this degree. And she has won quite a few recognition and achievements which are very notable. She's one of the top 5 nominee for the UK's Master Student of the Year 2024. And she's Westminster Employability Awards. She's won that during her postgraduate gold award winner in 2023. She's an amateur artist with 6+ years of experience with art and illustration, and she's exhibited artworks in India, South Korea, and is expected to exhibit in Japan in late August. Her interests includes she's an advocate and campaigner for food insecurity in UK, share live experience of food insecurity to political leaders, government officials and media, and she visits the UK House of Parliament to attend various debates, events and seminars to voice out for international students and for the cause of food and nutrition insecurity. So these are a brief list about her achievements and her qualifications. So with this, I will welcome you, ma'am, to share your screen with your PPT and to throw some insights on almonds, the health benefits, nutrition as well as processing.
That was really amazing. Thank you so much. I hope all of you can hear me.
Yes, you're audible.
Perfect. So first of all, good afternoon, I guess. Good afternoon, everyone. It's really a great opportunity for me to present about almonds. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity, and it's really wonderful to see that people have taken time, especially like on a Sunday afternoon after lunch, to come for this. So I would really appreciate if any of you can actually also, turn on your videos if possible. Otherwise, feel free to, not to. But yes, I'm going to share my screen. Mm-hmm. And yes, I'll try not to bore you as well. So it's going to be a fun one. Can you see my screen?
Yes, the screen is visible.
Perfect. So we are going to kickstart into something about almonds. It's going to be more of a very basic introduction. I'll give like an overview about the simple things that we know, more like a refresher about like nutritional facts, what is that's widely discussed among us, what are some of the health benefits we get with almond consumption, and what are some of the ways we can add these almonds into our daily diet. And also definitely I'm going to stress on the importance of moderation. We'll definitely cover about that. So starting with, you might be knowing this, You might not, but it was new for me to know. So almond comes with a botanical name, Prunus amygdalis var dulcis. So basically, it was they started to cultivate more almonds in the southwest Asia, like I guess mostly in the Iran, Iraq side of places, and now it is like grown very widely, especially in USA. We might have heard of this Californian almonds, and now also after Spain and Australia. Now you might be knowing, like when we talk about nuts, the most common thing that we come up with is like almond, and then the kids would be like the next one, cashews, and then we go with pistachios. So it's a very popular one. It's one of the oldest nut crops and something that has like a very good source of all the essential nutrients that we need. And literally, there are over 30 varieties of almond. All this time, the only thing I knew was like one small almond. It was the only one kind I knew, but there are literally 30 varieties. And one of the best thing it is said is the Iranian, I haven't made a note yet, the Iranian Mumra variety, which is said to have more of unsaturated fats in them, the good ones especially. And also there are some other like the Californian varieties. We have the caramel, not the caramel, but the Californian caramel variety. So literally each of the almonds have their own nutritional benefits as well. And something that I'm so much looking forward after this session is like to know how each processing method could also, impact the nutrients. But yeah, so some of the basic nutritional fact, as you can see here, I've attached. So the recommended intake for almond a day is 26 nuts, like each individual, 26 to 28, which counts to like 1 ounce. And this is your nutritional fact for it. Starting with, it has 160 calories. Now, you might look at this and wonder like, what? Total fat is 14 grams? But it is the unsaturated fat that's more in number. Literally almost 12 to 13 grams unsaturated fats are in there, which mostly is the monounsaturated form, and just 1 gram of saturated fat. And there's no cholesterol, no sodium. Even if you look at the total carbohydrate, it's 6 gram, of which 4 gram we have the dietary fiber. And there's 6 gram of protein, and you can see all the other micronutrient count in your 1 ounce of almond. Now, these are some of the essential, more the important ones you get from them, your vitamin E's, biotin, manganese, copper, magnesium. You might be wondering, like, what are the specifics we get from these nutrients? So basically, we know the carbohydrate, protein, and fat provide the energy, like helping with our tissue building, muscle building, and stuff. So these nutrients also help with your hair, nails, skin. So that's something we have been now. Currently, the trend is like using all sort of oils, and then taking pills in the form and stuff. So just try to take a handful of nuts. You're going to get all these nutrients from them. And per day, the recommended intake allowance for vitamin E is around 16 to 17 milligrams. I'm really not sure about how the Indian RDI is, but in the UK it's 15. But if you see here, vitamin E literally provides like, you get 7 milligram of vitamin E from 1 ounce. That is almost equal to like 37 to 50% of your daily intake. So just with almonds, you're fulfilling your vitamin E intake allowance. And also, it has principal flavonoids like the catechin and epicatechin, which helps with, like reducing the oxidation, with the fat oxidation especially. So it helps with all your heart health and your other organs as well. These are some of the basic coverage. And if we jump onto the health benefits, we have it helps with your heart health, as we saw here. You can take a look here. Literally, there is like 12 to 13 gram of unsaturated fat, which helps with lowering your low density lipoprotein and increasing your high density lipoprotein, which helps with clearing off all the blockages in your arteries in the form of fat. So in that way, it's really going to help you with reducing any kind of cardiovascular issues. and also reduces the heart rhythm irregularity and flutters. Now, I guess it's a very common thing, especially if you're taking too much, let's say, protein, or if you're going for gym. You kind of have this palpitations, like you suddenly have a feeling like it's beating too fast, you can't breathe in. So all these kind of things could also be, a bit reduced with a regular almond intake. And as we know, this almond is a very good source of vitamin E, which is an antioxidant, and that helps with reducing your oxidative stress. Now, this oxidative stress is actually what causes a neurodegeneration that further leads to all memory losses and then to poor brain function. So, the more the vitamin E, the more cognition it helps you with, plus also helps with your heart health as well. And it also helps with reducing your blood sugar because, as we were able to notice, there's a good amount of carbohydrate, healthy carbohydrates, the fiber. There's like high protein, high amount of good fat. So all these make up to reducing the blood sugar spike. So blood sugar spike is related to many things. It's not only about the sugar you take, but it is also about the insulin sensitivity, which everything is aided with your almond intake a day. And this is where I'm going to say something very important, because we have this very bad habit of taking anything in too much quantity once we realize it's a good one. Now, let's say I have had my own clients, when they realized that nuts are healthy, they started taking too much in quantity, that they used to have like literally 40, 50 nuts in just the morning time. And I was like, no, you can't do it, because this is what happens, especially with the nuts. Sadly, it is one of the food that contains oxalate, which, if it starts to get more concentrated in your body fluid, it will actually affect your kidneys and your gallbladder. It could lead to kidney damage. So that's why we recommend it to like 25, 26 nuts a day, good for you. And also, if you are taking that 26 almonds, make sure you're splitting it up throughout the day. Maybe a handful in the morning, maybe a handful for a form of snack, maybe a little bit for your lunch. You can just garnish something, or maybe you can take a little bit more for the evening. Try not to put all the 26 in one go. Split them up. And almond skin, you might have been seeing this, like there's a habit for us to, like wash off, like soak the almond and then, like take off the skin. The reason it is because it has tannin. So tannin is this anti-nutrient property where you take with the skin, there's a high chance that it could, fight off, have a battle with other nutrients, and then every nutrient will get cancelled away. So we don't want that to happen. So try to soak them overnight, and then in the day you can just have them in your old form. And anything, if you take too much, that's something like a too much work for your gut. So it might lead to nausea, vomiting, you'll have diarrhea. There's like toxication of nutrients, because sometimes there's like too much any vitamin in the body, they'll be leading to toxication. And when I searched up the internet, it also says it causes some type of cancer, which is very exaggerated. Unless otherwise you're only going to be like eating only almonds, then that's like a very rare case. Don't worry about it. That's another message I want to share. Try not to Google everything up, because even if you get one black mark, it says this is skin cancer. So there might be many other reasons for it. But yes, try to have a moderation with any form of diet. And these are some of the different products we get from almond. Let's say we have it in the form of oil, we have almond milk, we have it in the form of butter, and the flour. So your almond is the very unprocessed raw variety. These are some minimally processed varieties where you might be still getting some form of nutrients from them. And especially with the growth of the concept of veganism, these can be used to help you find alternatives for non-dairy products, plus also with more of what's the correct word to put in, with more of substitutes, you might also get the other nutrients that you need for the body. Now, let's say, for example, most of your almond milk also comes with added vitamin B12, like any other nutrients that you might not find in a regular dairy milk. And almond oil especially, you can have it in the form of cooking oil, or it's also available more in the form of like serums. You can take a hair oil, like apply for your face. And the next thing is, These are some ways you can actually add it into your daily diet. Let's say in the morning, along with your breakfast, if you're going to have like a porridge or something like that, just add your fruits, and then on top of it, you can add all the seeds and nuts along with the almonds. Or if you wish to have a snack, take a yogurt, add some fruits to it, add some almonds again, like crush them or like silver. It's more or less like, making it the thin slices. Or if you are someone who loves to have smoothie, add a handful or two handful of nuts into it. Or we have almond butter where you can make some toast, spread the butter on it, or again, you can make like almond paste. We have the croissant, we have other form of like bakery products with us, so you can just make almond filling in them. You can have it in the form. That's another good way. Or you can add to your rice dishes or pilau, all the crushed varieties. Or you can use almond milk for your daily coffee or for your porridges. Or is there any other way you could think of? These are the varieties I was able to notice. Or you can use the almond flour to make pancakes or to make waffles of your home. These are all more westernized form of diet. But if I had to think in more like our Indian approach, then I guess we can add a bit more into the savories we make. I guess we can, like crush few bits and then add it to the savories or to the sweets you consume. But again, anything goes with moderation. And just try to make sure that you're not having any other health ailments that would, affect it even more by the consumption of it. And I guess I'm going to finish it very quickly so that I'll allow everyone to get lessons from other people. But this is my main idea from my presentation, which is like when you are going to use your almond oil, make sure about the smoking point. So smoking point is basically something where for each oil there is a specific temperature only you can use it. If you're going to use almond oil for like deep frying or for like baking, to put it in the oven, there's a high chance there will be the fats actually get oxidizes very fast, and then might lead to rancidity as well. So you can use your almond oil just for garnishing or to, like for salad dressing, the last bits, the final ones. That's what you're going to use your almond oil for. Read the label. I am aware there is a campaign going in India about Label Padega India. So it's basically like when you're using almond butter, almond flour, or almond milk, because they don't have that natural source of fat, let's say, or the natural source of sugar. Usually from the milk we have the lactose. So when you're going to take all these ones, that sugar is not going to be there. So there's high chances they would add those sugar and add those fat. So it's essential you read the label and then buy a product. There are many form of almond milk that comes with no added sugar or no added fat. So read the label. It's the most important one. And moderation. I'll always stress on this because I have seen my clients suffering a lot because they feel something is good and they take more quantity of it. Anything beyond moderation is still a toxin, even if it is a good food. So too much almonds will bring numerous health issues, especially with your kidney damage. So try to have that moderated amount. And of course, avoid salted nuts. So I understand that some people would not like to take almond in its own form, but here is the thing. Even if you're going to process it, there is a high chance there might not be big nutrient losses, but the amount of preservatives that go into them, the amount of salt and sugar is definitely going to have an impact on your body, either with high sodium or low insulin supply, or like higher in the sugar spike, or the preservatives in itself would cause so many health damages to us. So to avoid all those, try to like limit all the salted, candied, caramelized form packets, even if there are fruits which you think are raw and comes in a package saying or quoting an expiry date, it still has some form of preservative in it. So try to avoid all them. Try to keep this in mind. My only suggestion, or like my more important summary point from here, is like moderation is the key, and try to make everything from scratch. I guess that's like a quick wrap up from my end. So thanks for your patient listening. I'm going to, or you can reach out to me via LinkedIn with my name Zahi Ghafoor, or you can make note of my email if you want to know a bit more, share anything. But apart from that, I'm going to come back. Yeah, and I'm so much looking forward to what the other speakers are going to share about food processing and how it affects the nutrient profile. Thank you so much for your patient listening. And if you have any questions, if you want to add anything to what I said, I guess we can discuss it at the end of the session. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Zaista. I think that was a very good session. It was very knowledgeable, and I think we mostly talk holistically as nuts and dry fruits rather than specifically talking about each of the nuts, right? So I think this session has thrown so much of light and importance to almonds, especially, and we do got to know about more of its nutritional aspects, different varieties in which we can use, and the different usage types as well. So, yeah, thank you so much for that amazing session. And yes, people, we will be sharing the speakers' social media connects with you all. Okay, so towards the end of the session, so that you can stay and keep in touch with these people and get more inputs from them. Okay. So now it's, yeah, as I told you, the questions will be held towards the end because it will be like more of a panel discussion with all the three speakers. So whoever wants to answer certain questions can volunteer and answer. So next, we move on to the second speaker for the day. I would like to welcome Dr. T. Gayatri, and I would like to give a brief introduction about her as well. So, she has a very impressive academic background and a professional experience in the field of home science, specializing in food and nutrition. So, she has completed her Bachelor's of Home Science from Odisha Agricultural University, Master's in Clinical Nutrition and Dietetics from Sri Padmavati Mahila University, and has completed her PhD in home science with specialization in food and nutrition from Utkal University. So at present, she is an assistant professor at St. Joseph's College for Women, Visakhapatnam, Andhra Pradesh. She teaches UG and PG programs in food and nutrition. She has authored quite a lot of books, book chapters, and she has numerous UGC care listed publications as well. Her professional memberships includes her membership in IDA, IAPN, and she specializes in gut microbiome and diabetes within the field of food and nutrition. So, Dr. T. Gayatri's academic achievements, extensive research contributions, and ongoing teaching roles underscore her commitment to advancing knowledge in home science, particularly in the domains of food and nutrition. So, I'm very happy to welcome you, ma'am, for continuing with the session. You can please share your screen.
Good afternoon, all the participants. Good afternoon, Ms. Zahista. Thank you, Neurigrads, for giving me this opportunity. Okay, I'm sharing the screen.
Yes, ma'am, your screen is
Yeah,
visible. Yes. Kindly bear with us. I think there is some network issues and we'll be starting shortly. Yes. Yes, madam, your screen is visible. Ma'am, your voice is not audible. I think your mic is on mute.
Okay.
Yes, now it's
So,
audible.
effect and processing of packaging on sensory and nutrition qualities of almonds, which make this topic makes a lot of sense because all of us consume almonds only from packets. Okay, we do not consume it as a raw or plucking it from tree. A lot of processing almond as a nut undergoes a lot of processing, and how it affects the sensory and nutritional attributes of the same. So, almond belongs to Prunus amygdalus. Almond Prunus amygdalus, kingdom Plantae, family Rosacea. Okay, the species is called Prunus amygdalus. Brief history about almonds. Almonds are thought to be originated in Mediterranean region of Europe. Uh, Travelers of Silk Route, that is between Mediterranean and Central and Eastern Asia, used to snack on almonds while traveling. This trend can be seen till now. Central Asia people, they snack a lot on almonds. In mid 1700s, almond tree was brought to California from Spain, and by 20th century, it got used to the weather conditions of California, and now the marketing people sell almonds saying Californian almonds. Like for example, Kashmir saffron is famous. California has got its geological tag, GI tag for almonds. Coming to the nutritive value, almonds do not belong to nut family, but it is a fruit. It belongs to stone fruit family, the same family in which peaches, plums, and cherries are included. Energy per 100, the nutrient content per 100 gram, it gives 576 kilocalories. Carbohydrate is 21.7. Protein, almost equivalent 21.2 grams. Fat is almost 50 grams, 49.9. Saturated fatty acid is 30.7. Almost equivalent is MUFA, that is monounsaturated fatty acid. PUFA at being 12.3 grams. Calcium, moderate calcium and zinc presence is there, that is 269 milligram and 3.1 milligram respectively. Consumption trends. If we look at the consumption trends of almonds, in 2022-23, over 1.49 million metric ton was consumed, global base. This is globally what I'm speaking about, and there will be an increase in 2024-25. About 6% increase can be projected. This demand is seen due to increasing awareness of health benefits of almonds. Of course, moving to post-COVID era, everybody has now realized that food is thy medicine. So in general, fruits and nut consumption has increased in general population, looking at the immunity and all the new diseases that are coming into play. Okay, and apart from this consumption, even in India, we see that since childhood, mothers are accustomed, they always soak those 5 almonds for the children to eat in the morning because it sharpens their memory and brain and everything. School going children and people who are studying for any exams or anything like that, we have in our culture only almond is present, and it is more than more than any fancy food, we have always regarded almond as a very healthy and brain tonic kind of a thing. Okay, now looking at the structure of almond. This is the kernel seed. This is the seed inside it. So stone cell wall. The cell wall is very very rigid. Rigid cell wall. The cotyledon, that is the inner edible part, you can see it is surrounded by the cell wall. Oil bodies are present. Inside the oil bodies, the protein bodies float. So as the nuts are very very rich in oil. Okay, coming to the processing techniques, roasting and blanching are two processing techniques employed on almonds. Roasting is nothing but it is cooking in dry heat. So two-step standard procedure is employed. The temperature ranges from 130 degrees to 154 degrees Celsius. In step one, lower temperature, that is 130 degree, is given to stabilize the nut structure. Okay, we cannot suddenly blast the high temperature on that nut. It can uh, it can cause some problem in the structure, and eventually it can render some unpleasant taste to the nut. And in the second step, higher temperature to develop the roasted flavor and brown color. Nutritional changes during roasting. First is, of course, loss of moisture because dry heat is applied. Then Maillard reaction takes place, which darkens nuts color and increases antioxidant capacity of nuts. So here, roasting actually adds up to the nutritional value of almonds. Okay, Maillard reaction is a very complex reaction between sugars and amino acids present in the food. The same kind of reaction can be seen if we overheat or overboil milk, because the cream, the scum, wherever the scum is stuck on the vessel, inner part of the vessel of the milk, we can see a very, that a brownish color, papery kind of reaction going on. That is Maillard reaction. Then polyphenol content is decreased. Sensory changes are due to dry roasting, the nut becomes more crunchy and brittle, development of nutty aroma, and it becomes more darker in color. Okay, next is blanching. Now, blanching technique, everybody knows, we have seen this. It's a technique where you first expose the food item to a very high temperatures, that is almost 85 to 100 degrees Celsius, and the medium of exposure is either steam or water. You boil the food item inside high temperature water. This is generally employed for green leafy vegetables, for canned fruits and vegetables. Okay, then immediately you put them in very cool atmosphere, either in ice water or ice tubs. This is done to kill the microorganisms as well as to deactivate the enzymes. So here also almonds are exposed to two kind of blanching. One is dry blanching where the steam is used, and another is water blanching. This process removes the skin of almonds as the nut becomes more softer as it is exposed to so much of moisture, so it becomes soft and the skin gets removed. Blanching almonds are softer due to increase in moisture. Nutritional changes during blanching. First, let me discuss moisture content increases. As I told you, digestibility of almond increases because as the nut becomes softer, so inside the pores, some water, the protein and the fat, maybe they become more digestible, and loss of polyphenols as the skin is gone. Apart from that, undetected in raw kernel, but post blanching, many polyunsaturated fatty acids develop, which is an excellent phenomena, I must say, because just like, for example, you people must have heard about germination. In germination, when we germinate moong beans or any chana or something, we get the tails by the end of second or third day. Okay, so in that, generally the moong beans, they do not have any vitamin C, but germinated pulses, they are rich in vitamin C. Same way, blanching develops polyunsaturated fatty acids, which are very very healthy for our body. So there are three PUFA that develop due to blanching: 1,14 icosahexaenoic acid, cis 8,11,14 icosahexaenoic acid, and cis 5,8,11,14,17 icosapentanoic acid. Changes in fatty acid profile due to processing. More or less in blanching and roasting, the fatty acids remain same. Like there is an increase in linolenic acid in both the processes, palmitic acid as well. Uroic acid, nervonic acid, and gamma linoleic acid also increase in both blanching and roasting, except for stearic acid, which increases in blanching but decreases during roasting. Now coming to packaging of almonds, different type of packagings are employed for almonds. Very commonly used packaging, that the packets that we see in shops or anywhere, that is modified atmospheric packaging. Here the water is replaced, the air is replaced with 95% carbon dioxide and 5% oxygen. The packaging is done with LDPE, that is low density polyethylene, with thickness of 80 microns. In vacuum packaging, here are the pictures. This is the vacuum packaging machine, and this is the modified atmospheric packaging machine. Okay. Now studies suggest that in all three packages increases acidity due to faster lipolysis reaction. MAP, that is modified atmospheric packaging, has lowest acidity development. AAP, that is air atmospheric packaging, has the highest acidity development. But if you store the nuts for long time at high temperature, it will affect the sensory scores. It will decrease the sensory scores, attributes. Okay. Now there is another study which was done on biaxially, which was a comparative study that was done on various type of packaging material. BOPP means biaxially oriented polypropylene. Okay. So here if you see the first P, then there is transparent BOPP, semi-transparent BOPP. Then there are foil. This is P4 is foil, okay, and P3, and then PAPE, that is three layer of polyethylene and polyamide, 3-layer laminates. So all these, when the comparison was done with including these 5 types of packaging material, it was compared for the development of peroxide level in the almonds. Now these peroxide levels increase the oxidants in almonds, okay, which are not healthy. So the results of peroxide value showed that metallic BOPP and lowest in 3 layers laminate. So BOPP is polypropylene bag.
There is some network issue with Dr. Gayatri, so we'll just wait for a couple of minutes, and if it doesn't get resolved, we will move on to the next speaker.
Hello?
Yes, madam, you're audible. Yes.
Yeah, I got disconnected, sorry. Okay. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible. Yes.
Yeah. So here P1, P2, P3, P4, P5, among this, P1 indicates the metallic BOPP, that is biaxially oriented propylene, and P5 is the three-layer polyethylene and polyamide laminate. So the study concluded that P1, that is BOPP, had the highest amount of peroxide value, highest peroxide value, whereas the three-layer laminate packet has the lowest peroxide value. Now, apart from this, PPB, that is polypropylene bag, in a study it was seen that when it is kept at 15 degrees Celsius with 50% relative humidity, showed the least sensory deviations from the baseline samples, that is from the fresh samples. In this study, in the same study, the quality of nuts was compared with the unlined cartons, which emitted cardboard taste and flavor. They named it cardboard taste and flavor, but the change in this taste and flavor was due to lipid oxidation. Okay, that's it.
Yes, thank you so much, ma'am, for outlining the changes which can be observed during processing, as well as the packaging materials that can be used, which can alter the nutritional profile and help us in preserving and storing these almonds in a fresher state for better nutritional quality and better nutritional benefits when consumed. And the questions for related to this particular session can also be discussed once the final speaker has completed her presentation. So I would like to extend my warm welcome to the third speaker, Ms. Biji K. Babu, and she is a seasoned professional with extensive experience in the fields of nutrition, wellness, and education, with a proven track record in team management, academic advising, recruitment, and training. She brings a wealth of knowledge and a proactive approach to any organization. As an assistant professor, she has significant experience in developing and teaching courses in nutrition and dietetics, mentoring and advising students on their academic and career goals. In her role as principal trainer at Healthify Me Wellness Private Limited, she consistently delivered monthly revenue at an individual level, led the hiring and training process for new coaches, and provided mentorship and support to coaches. She assisted the performance improvement plan coaches, conducted regular training sessions, implemented audits and feedback loops to support underperforming coaches, and coordinated continuing education opportunities for professional growth. Previously, as the assistant head of the institute at VLCC, Institute of Beauty and Nutrition, Vijay managed the institute as an independent profit center, meeting sales, revenue, and profit targets, and planning and executing various sales and marketing activities to achieve admission targets. She also promoted the institute's courses and held various roles as a nutritionist, conducting workshops and seminars, educating patients on therapeutic nutrition, meal planning, and ensuring compliance with quality standards as a food analyst. Her educational background includes her national eligibility as an assistant professor, master diploma in sales, and a master of science in food science and nutrition, among the other specifications and certifications which she has added to her credits. Her skills in team management, innovation, academic advising, recruitment, and nutrition counseling makes her an invaluable asset, and her dedication, dependability, and ability to manage multiple priorities with a positive attitude ensures that she can provide insightful guidance and strategic advice to support the goals and growth of any organization. So we are very happy and proud to welcome you as one of our speakers for today's session. Heading this session towards you, and kindly share your screen for an interactive, knowledgeable session with the participants.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Raista, and thank you, Team Nerdy Grad, for giving me this opportunity and for inviting such good speakers, because they have given good insights on almonds, and it was a great session to attend. Before I start, I would request Gayatri ma'am if you could just mute yourself. There's a background noise from your end. Yeah, thank you. In a moment, I'll just share the screen. Is my screen visible?
Yes, the screen is visible.
I guess it's in the slideshow mode. Is it?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. So, the topic that I was assigned for today was the health benefits and risk associated with the consumption of almonds, and its relation in terms of how it is to be consumed by infants, children, pregnant ladies, and lactating mothers, even for geriatric population and athletes. So I'll be talking about these health benefits and the risks associated, trying to connect with the all the life stages and the therapeutic conditions in athletes or sports professionals. So I guess very clearly, Zaista has mentioned or talked about the nutritive profile, and even Gayatri ma'am has mentioned about different uh, nutrition properties that almonds deliver. Give me a moment, guys. Second. So with this slide, I wanted to talk about how almonds is actually having a role in reducing down the LDL cholesterol. So we got to know that it has a good amount of unsaturated fatty acid, especially the MUFAS, which was approximately 10 mg. So that is like 10 grams, sorry, 10 grams of MUFAS was there in almonds. And MUFAS has been linked to reducing the LDL cholesterol. LDL cholesterols are considered
Just a
as the
minute. Sorry to interrupt you. Your slides are not moving actually, and it's come back to the normal one. It's not on slideshow.
second. Is it on slideshow now?
Not yet.
Where is it?
Yeah, the screen is visible.
Is it moving in the slideshow mode?
No, it's not.
Okay,
Yeah, can you
let's
just try
continue otherwise.
slideshow on top? Probably the slideshow option on top.
Is it now in slideshow?
No, not yet.
I guess there's some technical glitch. Let's
Okay.
continue otherwise.
Yes, sure. Okay.
Yeah. So we were talking about heart health. So it reduces the LDL cholesterol. LDL cholesterol has been called as the bad cholesterol and has been linked to increase the risk of atherosclerosis or plaque formation. So the MUFAS in the almonds reduces LDL. On the other hand, it increases the LDL cholesterol, reducing the risk of CVD, which is cardiovascular problems. If we talk about the blood pressure, it regulates blood pressure as it has got a good amount of magnesium, which relaxes the blood vessels and maintains the heart rhythm. Apart from this, there are a lot of benefits related to heart itself, which is provided by the plant sterols and fibers. So these are linked with the absorption of cholesterol. So plant sterol reduces the amount of cholesterol that gets absorbed from the intestine, and fiber actually helps in eliminating the cholesterol through stools. So that is the benefit of consuming almonds. But if we talk about different life stages, if we start incorporating almonds at a very early age, like for infants or itself, so they will develop a good cardiac health from the early age itself. And it has been seen, if we start this almond consumption at early age, the lipid profiles and oxidative stress that a child might go through would reduce. And in pregnancy, the maternal and fetal development increases with the amount of with the almond consumption. Especially the magnesium helps in doing that, and this also has an impact in the total nutritionist value of the breast milk. So if there's a lactating woman feeding the baby, so the breast milk would also be having a better quality of nutrients, or the overall quality of the breast milk would also get improved with the almond consumption. And otherwise, if we talk about athletes and elderly, especially geriatric population, are prone to having or are at a risk of having cardiovascular diseases. So this LDL and HDL cycle that I talked about, or the work of MUFA that I talked about, is very much important in terms of geriatric population, because these people are uh, noted to have high cholesterol levels. So if LDL drops down and HDL increases, it would be good for their heart health. And talking about athletes require a lot of muscle repair, and uh, this muscle repair can be made possible with good proteins on the almonds and the magnesium. And the overall recovery, which is needed for intense physical activity, and the cardiovascular fitness that is required by athletes, can be made possible with the consumption of almonds. Next is the weight management. Weight management is brought about by different nutrients again, which is like proteins. There are a good amount of proteins and fibers, and they are both known to have the satiety value. What satiety value, with this we mean the feeling of fullness. So if you feel full, obviously you won't consume a lot of food, or maybe you can control the portion sizes. And this, how is it made possible, is by regulating the hormones such as ghrelin and peptide YY. If I talk about precisely about protein, so these hormones are the hunger controlling hormones. So if you regulate these hormones, we'll be able to manage the consumption, or reduce down the gulping action that we do. Also protein, because it is high in protein, and protein digestion and metabolism requires a lot of energy. So there's a higher amount of energy expenditure when we consume almonds. Fiber content, we have already talked about, but fiber not just reduces the LDL cholesterol, but also helps in the satiety value, slows down the absorption of different food items, or especially if I talk about the sugar, it reduces the absorption and metabolism of sugar. MUFAs, which is monounsaturated fatty acids, reduce the desire for frequent snacking, and this can be used as an alternative to unhealthy eating habits that we have, like the evening teas and the snacking options that we actually rely on. We can actually replace them with these almonds. So if we talk about how it is helping, so everyone, we talk about pediatric obesity, we talk about childhood obesity, or we talk about adult obesity. All of this has been linked to almond consumption. So if we are consuming a lot, like appropriate amount of almond, which was like I would say 20 to 25 pieces of almonds in a day, which Zaista also talked about, we'll be able to get the fiber in the required amount, the proteins in the required amount, and we'll be able to manage our weight. Especially for athletes, managing weight is a big thing because it will indirectly or directly impact their performance. So managing the weight for athletes and pregnant ladies and lactating women usually gain weight like approximately 10 to 12 kgs of weight during the entire pregnancy, and this weight has to be lost. Like people try to lose it but fail to do that, but for them also consuming almonds is a great choice as a snacking option. Next is blood sugar control. Almonds are known to be having low glycemic index. So glycemic index is something that um, glycemic index is the ability of a food to raise the blood glucose level. Okay, and it has been mentioned in the scale of 1 to 100, and anything between below 50 is considered to be a low glycemic index food and is suggested for diabetic individuals. And here you will find that almonds is also having carbohydrates, but it makes sure that because it has a lot of fiber, it makes sure the glucose spikes are not frequent, or it would prevent the sharp spikes and crashes of glucose. It also increases the insulin sensitivity. People who are diabetic or have fluctuating sugar levels, the reason is insulin sensitivity, insulin insensitivity, that the cells are not responding to glucose, or the insulin is not able to transport the glucose into the cell. Only when the cell gets the glucose, the body gets the energy, right? So if it is not happening, obviously the individual would feel lethargic and exhausted throughout. Next is the source of healthy fat, fiber, and magnesium. All of these nutrients slows down the digestion and absorption process, and magnesium especially increases or enhances their insulin action. Talking about infants, usually it is uh, not suggested in like as raw almonds. Rather, powdered form can be given, but it is suggested to start almonds in the early age itself. And for children, although we very rarely we talk about diabetes in children, but we know that there is this type 1 diabetes which is usually affecting children. So we should start incorporating not just almonds. Today we are talking about almonds, but otherwise also I'll say incorporating fiber rich and low GI food for children is a healthy eating habit that we can develop from an early age. And especially for pregnant women, we know that there is gestational diabetes that is observed, and to minimize the risk of gestational diabetes, you can incorporate almonds in different forms on the diet of the pregnant women. Athletes would also get this with the help of blood sugar stability. They'll be able to perform better in their training, and the recovery process is also increased for them. Next is the bone health, which is again we have certain nutrients. This is like calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, reported to increase the bone density, strength, bone structure, rigidity, and the calcium absorption of from these almonds can happen very easily because we have a good amount of magnesium as well. So it it would surely, because it is providing calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus, it will surely increase the bone density and strength of the bones starting from early age. The strength remain like we can develop good bone density and strength from the very early age. And the pregnancy and lactation, again, I would say the fetal growth during pregnancy and the calcium stores that are made during pregnancy plays a vital role in the later stages of life for that kid. So it is recommended to incorporate almonds in the diet of the pregnant as well as lactating women. in this, I would also like to talk about vitamin E, which is again crucial to reduce the risk of osteoporosis. So that is also taken care. Then there is manganese source and protein source. So bone matrix get formed with the help of protein, and almonds is a good source. Then this is manganese source. Excuse me, please. Manganese would help in the synthesis of connective tissues of the bones. Next is the brain health. Vitamin E, MUFAS and PUFA help in developing the neurons, especially the myelin sheath of the neurons or nerve cells. So vitamin E and MUFAS and PUFAS from almonds will surely increase the brain capacity of an individual. In the early childhood phases, we see a lot of cognitive development in children. So, and we also see people suggesting almonds from brain growth. So this is because the neurons are getting developed with the help of MUFAS and PUFAS. So any source of MUFA, PUFA and vitamin E, especially the almonds, can be incorporated in the diet of children, pregnant ladies, lactating women and athletes. Excuse me, team, I'm sorry, give me a moment. Yeah, helps in this magnesium, vitamin B, and folate in present in the almonds helps regulate the neurotransmitter activities. These are the hormones required for healthy functioning of the brain. Also, in elderly, we have seen that good neurotransmitter activities help in against neurodegenerative disorders like Alzheimer's, dementia. So that has also been observed. Oxidative damage that leads to Alzheimer's and dementia can also be reduced with the help of vitamin B2, riboflavin, folate, and magnesium. Next is the digestive health. Because of this fiber, the stool becomes bulky, which is a good point. Reduces the risk of constipation. But this fiber is not just for reducing the risk of constipation. Fiber acts as a prebiotic for the gut microbes that are present in the colon, and helps in multifold ways, I would say, improving the heart health, improving the digestive health. All of it is brought about by the prebiotic, probiotic, prebiotic and probiotic roles. Also, the fiber present in almonds reduces the speed at which the food moves and how it is absorbed. So that is again a good point, because it makes sure that the nutrients are absorbed slowly and gradually and are not spiking up, or no such fluctuation between the nutrient absorption is brought up. Then is anti-inflammatory property. The polyphenols and antioxidants present in almonds reduces the risk of IBD and IBS. This is again for all the population. We usually see constipation in pregnancy and lactation, plus elderly people. A lot of constipation issue has been reported. So incorporating fiber-rich food like almonds can help relief from such symptoms and get relief from IBD and IBS, again, which is observed in geriatric population a lot. Can be the risk of IBD and IBS can be minimized with the help of fiber-rich foods like almond. Next is muscle repair and growth, muscle health. So this is brought about by the amino acids present in almonds, which is like BCAA, branch chain amino acid, leucine, isoleucine, and valine. This muscle repair is very much needed for the daily wear and tear that we undergo. Also for athletes, it is very important. We usually rely on the powders of BCAA, but we have natural sources like almonds, which can be incorporated into the diet, and uh, the supplements of BCAA can be avoided as much as possible. Reducing exercise-induced oxidative stress is another good point. So, vitamin E and antioxidants, fats that are present, helps in the repair of this or the oxidative stress that happens during exercise, and for the building of new muscles, a good amount of protein. Although it is not a complete protein, the almond is not considered as a complete protein source because it lacks few of the amino acid, but still it gives approximately 6 grams of protein in every 100 grams of almonds. Then its antioxidant property, it is providing us immune support, boosting the immune system, protecting us from different illnesses. It protects the cells from oxidative damage that could come because of the environmental factors, and improving the brain functioning, protect the brain cells from oxidative stress, and improving the cognitive development. All of it is brought about by the antioxidant properties present in the almonds. Also, good results have been shown against in this anti-aging property as well. So it maintains the skin health and reduces the signs of aging. Risk associated includes allergies. There are different allergic substances that are present. Allergies, oxalates. So there are certain people who are allergic to almonds. There's IgE, immunoglobulin E mediated response, by which that people might have allergies to tree nuts, especially almonds. So a lot of consumption of tree nuts, especially almonds, can lead to itching, rashes, and there are genetic predisposition as well, that there are family history related to allergies, and there's a hygiene hypothesis that people people who are very much maintaining the hygiene. I'm not denying that hygiene shouldn't be maintained, but over obsessed with hygiene, people are susceptible to minor changes as well. So almonds being one of the risk factors for allergy. Then there is polar food syndrome. Then pollen grains are also that are present in almonds can be a risk factor for allergies. Then there is oxalates. Oxalates present in almonds can interfere with the calcium absorption. Also, oxalates present in calcium can bind with calcium and make calcium oxalate, which is a very important reason, or very, I would say, has a role to increase the risk of kidney stone formation. So that is again a risk factor. Next is phytic acid. Phytic acid reduces the mineral absorption, leading to different deficiencies. It can reduce the calcium absorption, iron absorption, and can lead to the risk of osteoporosis and anemia, which can be seen in pregnant women, children, especially women. We see the anemia. A reason there's a continuous blood loss. I would say regular blood loss in the menstrual cycle. Plus this, if the nutrient is not getting absorbed, obviously they are already susceptible, predisposed to anemia, and this adds to it. Next is digestive health. We talked about all the good points of fiber, but when fiber is actually working in relation with probiotics, or I would say live organism, live microorganism, gut microorganism, there is the fermentation procedure that happens. And with this fermentation procedure, there is bloating and flatulence, which brings about discomfort. So that is another concern with almonds if you are consuming too much of almonds. Zaista has talked about moderation is the key, and I would re-emphasize and reiterate on the fact that consuming too much of almonds can also be risky for the health. And again, this point has also been covered by Zaista, that salt and additives if you're consuming almonds in the processed form, something that is available commercially, would surely be having too much of sugar, too much of salt, too much of additives, right? Processed items, which can lead to the increased risk of hypertension and CVDs. And there are hidden items as well, like hidden almonds, which are not uh, like hidden ingredients, or there are certain ingredients which reacts with almonds and can cause allergic reactions as well. So food additives, not all food additives would be like some would be easy for an individual to absorb. So when you go for processed items, these food additives might be the reason. Maybe you don't have allergies from almonds otherwise, but the food additive that we incorporate to make these processed items can cause bring about risk. Last but not the least, this is aflatoxin. This toxin has been reported in the almonds. Long-term storage, I would say, can lead to aflatoxin production, and has been reported to lead to carcinogenic properties and liver damage. But here again, storing almonds for longer duration is the reason. It's not otherwise that aflatoxin would interfere, or aflatoxin would bring about carcinogenic properties. If you are consuming fresh almonds, or like not storing it for longer time, and liver damage can also occur if you are exposing yourself to aflatoxin at a very high dosages. Here, last but not the least, I would also reiterate the fact that moderation is the key. 20 to 25 pieces of almonds is something that is suggested. When we are emphasizing on the consumption of when we are emphasizing on the consumption of almonds, we are not saying that almond is the only thing that we should be consuming, or almond is the only heavenly nut that is available in the market. There are many other nuts, but yes, almonds is one of those having miraculous benefits. So incorporate it. So when we say 20, 23 pieces or 25 pieces of almonds, maybe you can consume 25 pieces, but that is like, if you are consuming almonds, keep it as almonds. Now don't add more nuts and other oil seeds, right? So balancing it out is another key role here. If you are consuming 25 pieces of almond, then 25 pieces of cashews, 25 pieces of pistachios, like that, if you consume all of the nuts together, then it becomes too much. The calories would go high, the fats would go high, the proteins would go high. And then on top of all that, you'll be also consuming different food items like your regular meals as well, right? So you're not balancing it. Don't overemphasize on any particular food is the last bottom line statement that I would be reiterating and ending my session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vijay, and I think it is a very well completed session. We got to know a lot of health benefits, specifically when it comes to almonds. And as you rightly said, people, if you tell that there is some health benefits, they try to overindulge in certain things. And that's something which we should really watch out and try to consume in moderation, as started by Zaista and concluded by you, reinstating the same statement over and over again. And I really thank you for putting in a lot of efforts to get in all the scientific information about various health benefits which you have listed. And I know it's endless. So there are so many other evidences which supports, which contraindicates the statements which we give. And on the final note, consuming it in moderation will be very helpful on the long run. And thank you so much to all the three speakers. You've been really extraordinary during the session, and patiently giving in your inputs, as well as throwing in light, as well as a lot of doubts and things to ponder as well before they start eating certain foods, especially almonds, in the session. So we will take up questions from the participants, and I think we do have a few listed on the chat box already right from the beginning. So there's the first question. So I request all three speakers to actively get involved because it's like a Q&A session, like a panel discussion type. So anyone who feels can, give an answer or add a point or two can probably unmute and you can answer. So the first one goes like this, where they're asking about almond oil if can be used for cooking. Yes.
I'll go with that. Thank you so much for wrapping up the session and starting with the Q&A. So basically, as I mentioned before, there's something called as the smoking point. So almond oil typically has a medium level one. If you're going to use a refined almond oil, yes, you can use for like proper cooking where you can, like add it to your curries and like deep frying and stuff. But if you're going to for a very unrefined one, the smoking point is less. So probably you can use for stir fry. Like maybe you can take some vegetables and then you just saute them, or maybe add it as a dressing for salad or something like that. But try not to overheat almond oil because there will be like a rancidity and oxidation will be quick with the oil, and that will also again bring with so many other health effects. So try not to cook them over. Maybe for sauteing for the vegetables, you can use them.
Okay, thank you so much. And I think that was already covered in your session as well. Thank you for re-emphasizing that again. Next, moving on to the other one. So does almond comes under omega-3 or omega-6 fatty acids?
I'll take this up. So the almonds provide both omega-3 and omega-6, although it is not as much as present in almonds or flax seeds or chia seeds that we talk about. But yes, it comes under both the it provides both of them, that is omega-3 and omega-6, alpha-linolenic and linoleic acid both. And has benefits like brain functioning and anti-inflammatory functions and heart health, all of this property, which actually omega-3 and omega-6 offer, all of which is provided.
And adding on to BG, I'm not much aware of the omegas, but then I also saw that there's omega-9 fatty acid, which are your essential ones, which your body already provides, which are also found in the almonds, I guess.
Yes, yes. Oleic acid is also present.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much. They have added another omega-9 fatty acid along with your question. So yeah, it is rich in all the three is what they're trying to tell. And the next one is, I think this goes to Dr. Gayatri. She wanted you to repeat the roasting point of almonds once again, if you can possibly do that, ma'am. Okay, so I think she's having some network issues, so probably we'll get that information from her and post it on the group so that you can probably go through that once again. And there's another question about if there is any disease condition where we have to avoid almonds.
Yeah, I'll take this up. This is if you have allergies, you should try to avoid. There's nut allergies that I mentioned about, so then you should avoid. Otherwise, if you have kidney stones, because oxalates have been mentioned to be there present in the almonds, and calcium oxalates are the usual stones that we see and we are diagnosed with. So in kidney stones and in certain I would say digestive conditions, IBS and IBD we usually suggest, but if it's a severe case of IBS or IBD, we can actually restrict them almond intake.
Okay, thank you. And any other questions, you can also raise your hands and you can unmute and ask the speakers as well, if you find it difficult to type it on the chat box.
Or just to add up to Emmy, ma'am, I guess that's Emmy on the side. But Sonia, even if you have any other information, if you know anything that we missed out on, feel free to share that as well. This is like a discussion, so we would love it really, like we can just...
Yeah, there are more coming up as well. So, is consuming soaked almonds with skin cause any health issues, or is it beneficial is what is the first part of the question. And as a regular way, people consume 4 to 5 in a day. So is it safe or you need to consume more?
Yeah, so as we discussed before, I covered it in my part of the slide. The skin does have, like even Biji said in her presentation, there are aflatoxins. So all these content on the skin. So just soak them and then you can remove the skin or just simply soak them and you can consume. So 4 to 5 in a day, that's still good. Maybe you can try to include some other form of nut, as she mentioned. It's not necessary you have to take like whole 25 a day. Maybe you can just take a handful. Even that is still beneficial for you. So you're in a good progress.
Yeah, can I add to my 2 cents over here? Actually, as far as nuts are concerned, one portion size is 6 grams, and uh, 1 almond weighs approximately 1 gram. So 5 to 6 is good enough per day.
Okay. So thank you for that. And is it beneficial if they consume it in the form of soaked or roasted? So what do you actually prefer?
I think it is completely it's a personal choice depending upon the sensory, depending upon the taste buds of the consumer. But soaking is will be much better. It will make the nutrients more bioavailable than roasting, because in roasting the healthy polyphenols are also lost, as I discussed in my PPT. So soaking will be much better.
Okay. So thank you for that, ma'am. And another person wanted to ask as per the age. So she wants the quantity of almonds that can be consumed in a day from children, adults, elderly. Probably she wants it that category wise.
Um, this I'll take it up. For infants, I'd say you can roast 1 to 2. Powder, not roast. Sorry, 1 to 2 almonds you can powder and incorporate in the complementary feed that you start post 6 months of age. Right, you can start with a pinch of it maybe, and extend to maybe 2 pieces of almonds, and slowly moving forward to childhood phase, you can maybe incorporate 3 to 5 pieces, and as an adult, you can consume to 10 pieces as well. I would not be saying ki limit yourself to 5. You can extend to 8, 9 as well. Because when you say handful, it comes like 8, 9 pieces.
Okay, thank you for that. And there's a participant who wants to ask, I guess it's Sharu. Can you please unmute yourself and you can ask the,
Yeah, ma'am, the
yeah.
same question what she was saying about the infant. See, the children don't eat, they don't want to eat actually almonds. So if we made a powder of it and we put it in any of our curry or any of the vegetable, will it sustainable for that, or the nutrition value will be there, or it going to be,
Yeah.
destroyed while cooking?
Yeah, I'll come to that, Charu. Usually, it is not suggested to cook it. Obviously, there is degradation or destroying of polyphenols, as Gayatri ma'am mentioned. But if you incorporate in the paste form, like you just soak it and paste it, that can be one form which can be added for very young, very small kids like infants, 6 to 12 months of age, and if your kid is actually consuming whole foods properly, so maybe you can use it in the raw form, raw powdered form, and just sprinkle it over the curries. Don't boil the curry, or don't put it in the hot flame itself. Rather, bring it to the table temperature, and then maybe add this paste or powder to the dishes of the child.
So, you mean to say that we don't need to cook because, of
Yes.
course, the nutrition value going to destroy. One more thing,
Yes.
we can eat in a dough and we can provide it.
Yes.
At that time, the nutrition value doesn't go.
And in the dough, it will go off. So it is not suggested to cook post addition of almonds or any nuts into the dishes. It is suggested to put it in the raw form as much as possible.
I'm asking, yes, I came to know about that. I'm just asking, what is the other way to give the children because they don't want to chew, don't want to have a powder form, and when we need to hide, so what are the other alternatives to hide and give it to them?
Powder, I don't think they'll be able to make out. If you're finally like grounding. It is grounded properly, so I don't think it will be a issue. Powder won't be something that will find it irritating to them.
Yeah, I was about
Actually,
to ask, like,
I
is
found
there?
it difficult to say, so I just asking the same questions again. Like I found myself to, to be very difficult to serve them because they know the taste and all. So I was just wanted to have something different ideas to get to the children's basically. The eldest will do take, but what about the children, which is difficult part actually.
Yeah, following
I
up with
said,
Chaturma, I was about to ask, like, we do have something called like almond paste and stuff. Is there any way we can give it to like, for, especially when they're teething, like maybe make some, like if there's any breadsticks or something, you can, dip it and eat. Is it allowed for toddlers to do it?
yeah, for toddlers, yes, we can do it. We can create different dips and sauces for them, and yes, we can use it.
Many recipes
We
call
can
for
put in a dips also.
cashew pastes. Many North Indian recipes and all gravies they call for cashew paste. I think you can easily swap it with the almond paste. So that way the whole family can consume it, and the nutritional
Yeah,
and fatty acid profile is
okay. We
much
can make
better
a
in
chutney out
almonds.
of it, and they will
Yeah,
also
you can
do
make a
it,
chutney
right?
out of it.
Yeah.
No
Yes,
problem.
yes. When we say pasting, like converting it to a paste, this paste can be used in the form of dip, sauces. You can use it in the seasoning part of salads. All of it can be done.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for that. And there are other questions as well. So, does consuming almonds in the morning more beneficial, or it can be consumed at any time of the day? Does timing actually affect the consumption?
Actually, it can be eaten as a mid-morning snack. Any nuts are very, very filling, but nowadays we have this concept of eating fat first, isn't it? So those who can't go for that ghee coffee and coffee shots and bullet coffees and all, I'll tell you, nuts are very good sources of having fat first in the morning, and it satiates you. It limits your hunger, and it can be consumed at any time.
Yes,
I would
Raisa, I
say,
think, yeah.
like yes, it can be consumed anytime, but yes, starting up with healthy options is something that is coming in focus these days. So almonds and nuts becomes the easiest option because we don't have this cooking procedure attached to it, and you can just grab it and have it early morning. So yes, it's better and easy if we consume it in the early morning.
Early morning is good, better.
Okay, what I'm going to say might be a quite different one. The thing is, like, looking at the lifestyle aspect, nowadays people get the midnight cravings. So midnight is the time you can't have much of, carbs, sugars and stuff because of the, body cycle. You can have it in the morning, but also try to save some kind of nuts or maybe like hummus or something for, that midnight. So just in case if you have that craving, you can still eat a bit more. There's no concern with the time, but it's just trying to find the right alternative at the specific time, so you can go with any. Yeah.
Ma'am, I think this could be better for the night shifters, basically.
Okay. So, there is another question about how it reduces the mineral absorption. So, Anju, can you please unmute yourself because your question doesn't seem to be complete here. What reduces the mineral absorption here? Consuming or not consuming?
When it comes you, ma'am, because ma'am said phytic acid will reduce the mineral absorption. How the way it will reduce, ma'am?
Hello.
Sorry.
Yes. She's telling that you have mentioned in your presentation that phytic acid will reduce the mineral absorption. She wants to know how phytic acid reduces the mineral absorption.
So a phytic acid binds with these minerals, and when they bind, they make a complex of with the calcium, iron, magnesium, and the complex is now difficult for the body to absorb. Okay, so the Zyscam clearly mentioned that if we are soaking it, we can reduce down the levels of phytic acid and oxalates and aflatoxins and all of that, and especially if we are removing the skin. So all of that can reduce down the oxalates and phytates, and the mineral absorption would not get inhibited or altered. I would say.
Okay. Thank
Thank
you
you,
for
ma'am.
that. Yes. Okay. She's also happy with the answer. So, yeah. Moving on to the next one. So, how can we know that someone is allergic to almonds? Is there any sign, or what are the common signs for any type of food allergy? She's asking pertaining to almonds or also related to generally nuts.
Allergies, again, it's not just almonds. You can have allergies for any food item that you're consuming, and some common signs would be nausea, vomiting, diarrhea. It could start with that. It leads to itching, rashes, and different symptoms. Obviously, with these symptoms, obviously you won't be able to make out whether it's an allergy or something else, right? So there is an it is advised to consult a physician for this purpose, and there are different testings as well, like the IgE testing, which can be done. Immunoglobulin E mediated response has been seen when there is allergies, right? So especially the almond-based allergies. So you can go for IgE testing. But again, I'm not the best person to guide you on this. It would be a physician who would be able to guide you better on this part.
Okay, thank you for that. And next is as per the age. So again, we are getting the question. So as per the age, they want to know how many almonds can be taken.
I guess we have talked about it, Bharti. You missed it maybe. Starting from infants, I suggested 1 to 2 almonds, which is in the powder or paste form, added to the complementary feeds of the infants. And slowly, gradually, as the child moves into the toddlerhood or the early childhood phase, you can incorporate 3 to 5 pieces. And as an adult, I would suggest you can go for 8 to 10 pieces of almonds a day.
Okay, yes. So I think next is a question on consuming almond oil. Is it equivalent to eating raw almonds? And since the oil would be heated while cooking, so nutrient loss might be higher.
That's a really good question. I'm going to answer two questions in one go. One is from Kriti, another one's from Roshni asking about the almond milk. So here is the thing. They might not be giving the same nutritional value because of course, the form they are in, but you can try to replace them with what you currently have. You might be using a refined cooking oil, or even if you're not tired of using olive oil or other ones, you can still go them as a substitute. So they are still going to provide much equivalent, closer to the same amount. And also the same is with milk. If you are someone who is lactose intolerant, or if you can't take a dairy product for any values or reasons like veganism, you can swap to almond oil. Or let's say, for example, oat milk. The reason why I don't personally suggest oat milk is because it's literally a sugar water. Oat is a starchy food, and then whatever milk you're going to get from it was full of sugar. So in those places, you can actually shift for almond milk. Is it a good substitute? That's what I'm trying to mean. But you just try to make sure you don't overeat almond oil.
Okay.
I would say,
yes.
like in total, processed almonds, be it milk, be it almond oil, or anything for that matter, should be consumed in like as low as possible should be consumed. And if we can rely on the raw sources, would be better. Not just for almonds, for almost everything that we eat. Rely on the natural sources. Don't be dependent on the processed item that we are. Yes, I totally accept that we are moving into a lifestyle where we are very much dependent on these packaged food items, but that is not a good lifestyle, and we should try to bring about the behavioral changes and start going natural.
Like literally tagging on to Viji now. You guys be knowing I'm the UK, so here literally everything is packaged food. You go to a coffee shop, when you ask for a coffee, the first question they ask is, "Do you want a dairy milk or do you want almond alternate?" I'll be like, "Just make it a dairy milk. I that's enough for me." Everything has become so processed. Yeah, try to go with making from like everything in the raw form, everything from scratch. Cook it by yourself. Just eat it when it's there.
No, but in India, by almond milk, I think she's referring to the flavored milk or bottles that we get.
No, we get almond milk as almond milk
Yeah,
as well.
as almond milk also we get as it is in the pure form, but it's not very common to replace it with cow's milk, na?
Yeah, maybe not there because I'm aware that in India the allergy rates and lactose intolerances are much less compared to here. So that's why I always mention the alternatives.
Yeah.
People are too much lactose intolerant here.
But
I'm starting to get
with different platforms coming in, like easy available marts online that we have, almond milk is become very easily available. I would believe the Blinkit, Instamart options that have come up in India, especially. I feel these options are now at least better available.
Like
Otherwise, it was difficult.
irrespective of anything, everybody wants to go lactose free and gluten free at the end of the day.
True.
Yes. So also, I think you can still throw a light on the artificial ones, as Dr. Gayatri had told about the processed ones, which is flavored, not having the exact almond or its nutrient content. It is just a flavor which is added. So any light on that, probably because that is much cheaper, and I think kids are also more attracted to those
Sorry, can
kind
you
of
repeat it?
things. Can you just throw a little light on those kind of artificial flavored ones, which says it's almond, but I don't think it even has
Yeah.
1% of its benefit.
Look, any day if you compare consuming almonds and having those flavored almond milks, they are completely saturated with sugars, commercially available sugars, zero calories. I mean, like when what do you call it, empty calories, and a lot of preservatives. Now we tend to ignore the preservative part of packaged foods. Nowadays, for skincare and all, we are going paraben free, sulfate free, this free, that free. But whatever we are taking in, we are very easily ignoring the colors that are being used, the permitted flavors that are being used. And if you turn the bottle and read, they say it is flavored. So flavor has been used, not the real fruit or not the real nut. So as a as a faculty of nutrition, that's what we always, when we go to the communities or when we are training our young undergraduate students, we always tell them to read the package, the label thoroughly. Like the other day I found someone who was like, yeah, I'm on diet coke nowadays. So yeah, I'm completely following diet and I'm on diet coke. So we are all ignorant smart people, that's it.
Also, here this brings me to the FSSAI action recent that we saw on news, was the real and Tropicana fruit juices, claiming it to be having
Yes,
100% real
yes,
fruit juice.
yes.
So that has been taken off. That FSSAI has brought about a law into it and reinforcement into it, that you cannot claim it to be healthy and you cannot claim it
Yeah,
to be
because when
like
you see
100%.
na the real and Tropicana, I'm so sorry to interrupt, you will see fruit concentrate. It is not fruit juice. 10% or 5% fruit concentrate it has. It doesn't have any real fruit juices over there.
So similarly, it's the case for this almond flavored milk, which Gayatri ma'am was trying to emphasize on. So when you go for such kind of alternatives, please read the labels, is what we can suggest you.
And as simple as don't go for any flavors, just go with the natural one. The very purpose of almond milk is just so that you can get the goodness of almond. If you are lactose intolerant or for veganism, you want to shift into it. Otherwise, go with the natural dairy milk. It's as simple as it is. And if someone is using Diet Coke thinking it is healthy, I'm so sorry, it has sweeteners. Please ignore it.
Thank you, Zaista, for adding that.
Yes, thank you so much. And yes, absolutely. Nowadays, the word diet is used on every local corner, and people think if they use products named as diet, they are on diet. So, yeah, that's one thing which we really need to address. And I think there's one for Zaista suitably because you had supported the consumption as night craving, right? Almonds. So, yeah, there's a specific one that about digestion of almonds or any nuts. It would be difficult. So, is it better to consume them during morning?
Yes, of course you can eat them in the morning. The only thing I was trying to mention is like for people who work in the night shift or if they are going to be like much in night people. I'm trying to put them from my aspect, forgetting that I'm talking to people from India. That's why I always suggest go with like a handful of nuts, because what people tend to do is carbohydrate is easy to just suggest, like the refined ones, but again they are going to spike up your sugar levels, where at that very moment the insulin production is low. So at these phases, if you're more of like a night person, try to go with the protein varieties and not much of carbohydrates and rich in fiber ones. This is just one of the example you can try for almond. Try to go with nuts. That is just a handful, little bit, not too much, like 4 to 5, just munch on.
Yes. So I think after this there are no other questions. And any other wrap-up points the three of you would like to give to the audience?
Go naturally. That is the only point.
Okay.
And don't overemphasize on any food.
Right. Then, okay. So I think the other two also would agree on the same point, because that's the summary of the entire session. And I would really like to thank the audience for their patient listening and for actively participating in the session. I think all of us would have gained much knowledge than we actually expected or we actually had before the session. And yeah, we will be sharing the details of the speakers, like their social media contacts and links on the WhatsApp group. And also, we would be organizing many more sessions. Okay, as I told you, this is a webinar series on nuts and dry fruits. So starting with almonds, and then we will move on to different other nuts and almonds, nuts and dry fruits as well. So please keep in connect and try to register and get benefits out of all of these sessions. And yeah, so any other feedbacks you people have, you can surely post it on the WhatsApp group so that it will be easier for me to send it to the respective speakers. And the PPTs will be shared as well. And those who have opted or paid for the e-certificates, yes, you will be getting your e-certificates in a couple of days. That's also there. So thank you for this wonderful session, especially to the speakers for taking your time off your busy schedule and addressing the audience. Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
the three of you. Yeah.
But I would like to know who's behind this nerdy grad screen. Can you
Right.
please
So
just
myself, yes, okay, it's just going
Thank you for
anonymous
pointing
without
that out.
an introduction about myself, right? So myself, I'm Emmy Grace, and I am the founder of this Nerdigrad organization. Basically, I'm completing my PhD in nutrition, community nutrition. So this is a small background about myself. You can still read about me on Nerdigrad website, and thank you so much. And our main aim is to provide more knowledge at affordable costs, and that's the reason we have started these webinar series as well. So to get better interaction with the audience. And I would like to thank the speakers for graciously accepting the invitation and volunteering themselves to given their knowledge to the audience. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Miss Emmy. Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
I would like to tell you that with this Nerdy Grad as a platform, when we used to study back in 2009, 10, 11, I did my post graduation during that time. We used to search for these kind of capsule courses. I have been following you on LinkedIn, and I think I have chatted with you also on WhatsApp a couple of weeks ago.
Right, yes.
So yeah, I always get in your WhatsApp messages and all, and that is very beneficial for student, because everything nutrition is such a vast subject, and
Correct.
it is growing minute by minute every day in any nook and corner of the world. Any new research is addition to the subject. So
Yes.
that cannot be covered completely in that that 2 years or 3 years of your degree or education.
Correct.
And just off the records, the academic system doesn't even allow, because we have a structured syllabus for everything. But
Yes.
these courses, which thing is, you have made it so affordable for everyone, and they are so pinpointed. You're doing a great job. Congratulations on that.
Thank you so much. Coming from an academic perspective, from a professor, means a lot to us. Yes, so actually that is one of the reasons we had started Nerdigrad, because I myself couldn't find a lot of information towards the field which I really wanted to pursue in gynecology. So that's how this actually started, and now it's successfully, educating more than 1,000 people across the globe. So we have spread to almost more than 12 plus countries, and successfully so many students have been educated from us. And I really hope we keep educating people at the affordable rates possible. So yes, Aista, I think you have raised your hand.
Yeah, I just quickly wanted to add a thank you note for you again, because as you can see, the other two resource people are actually professors, like they are like my professors, literally. I'm just 22, I just graduated. I can like, feel proud that you are giving opportunity for early graduates as well to have their say, like share their experiences. I was able to share my experience from in the UK, like how things are in here. So that allows people to know what is a different food scenario in different countries, or what's the different learning we get from it. So you are doing a really great job. Kudos.
Thank you
Well
so
done.
much. Yes, I know the
Thank you, Emily,
difference
for
between the
inviting
age
all of us.
groups. Yes,
It was a great experience for all of us, actually.
yes. Thank you so much. Yeah. Please keep in touch. I really hope I can invite you people again for another session for different type of nuts and dry fruits. So I think you people will volunteer for it as well. So yeah, thank you so much for voluntarily sharing your knowledge to the community. Thank you, everyone, and we will get connected again on WhatsApp group, and surely we will be posting all the future and upcoming sessions. Uh, Try to utilize this as maximum, because as Dr. Gayatri told earlier, not even earlier, even it's like almost 9 years since I'm into the field doing my PhD. So when I was 8 years back, like probably in the UG time, even we never had any of these opportunities which I am providing now. So that's one thing I really wanted to provide for this particular community, and try to use them as much as possible. These are free webinars, so kindly even send it to your people, your friends, your colleagues, whoever would benefit, and probably they can also attend, get more information sessions. So that's how we are working on. Thank you, everyone, and we'll meet again in the next session. Every week we will be planning some, and we will meet in the next session. Thank you.
Can I
Thank you to the
ask a quick
speakers again. Thank
request?
you. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.